Good morning, Dawn Walkers. It is August 24th, Sunday at 6:20 a.m. in the morning. And we got a little bit of a late start today because it was raining a little bit just before. Pradeep, good morning. How you doing, brother? Delphin, what's up, brother? Allo, ¿cómo estás tú? And yeah, man, we got a little bit of a late start today. But and we're doing some uploading some videos and stuff like that. For those of you that don't know, I do have a channel and I have all sorts of topics and stuff like that when I do like things on philosophy. Hola, ¿cómo está? ¿Cómo está? Aguilera. Hola. ¿Está bien? And so do a lot of stuff like that, so like uploading and stuff like that. So recently I've been doing stuff like on Greek philosophers and some of their controversial, strange ideas and things like that. Whatever, just like to get things going, like explore the world that was and is and will be and stuff like that. And that's what it's up. I am very sorry to hear that. I hope that je suis marche aujourd'hui. C'est aujourd'hui dimanche. Ça va? So, yeah. I didn't realize Delphine speaks French. And Gracie, Spanish. So hello to both of you, and in Thai we say Sawadee Cup Sabadi Lupao. And we would say in Thai Arun Sawat. Agapurisut means the weather is beautiful. John Nicole, what's up, brother? How's everything? You got something going? You got your own live thing going? That's cool. I can't look at it now, but maybe other people will. Anyway, that's what I'm doing. I'm getting this walk on. And I've done my research on certain things for certain people. So we'll see if they show up. And if not, well, we'll still talk about it anyway, because interesting topics. And I just hope that everybody's doing well this morning, wherever you are on this planet called Earth, of which we are all citizens of. So, like it or not, for right now, we're all going to be on this planet. And so let's all, But anyway, it is a beautiful sky this morning. And this is an exceptionally beautiful sky. And I just will stop for 1 second just to say this because I don't want to say it later. I want to say it now. And that is, that sky is so beautiful. No man on this earth has enough money to buy it. Not enough bars of silver. Nobody can buy that. Nobody's that rich. And it's right there in front of us. And it gives us life. It gives us beauty, life, emotions, feelings, and stuff like that. And there's no human being or a computer program, I'm not so sure about computers though, that can actually simulate or recreate such beauty. So, that being said, got that out of the way. Give thanks and gratitude for the things that we can, right? And I super appreciate anybody who gives me a like in the thing here. It certainly helps me out a whole bunch, helps out the channel. And so on and so forth and all that jazz and everything like that. I never used to say anything about that, but like everybody says something about that. And so I figured, well, if you can't beat them, join them. when I was in high school, I think like the ninth grade, I saw one of my favorite movies, and it's a French movie, Manon de Sous. Oh man, I love that movie. That was like fantastic. I haven't seen it since, but that was fantastic. I never forget that. I met Gerard Depardieu one time, briefly. I was walking across the Brooklyn Bridge, and he was standing there talking to somebody. He didn't have any security around him. He didn't have anybody really around him. He was just standing there on the Brooklyn Bridge talking to somebody. And as I'm walking by, obviously I look for an extended second, which he notices, and he looks back at me, and I guess he was wondering, well, probably a variety of things. One is, am I going to say hello and ask him for an autograph? Two is, am I a crazy person who's going to attack him or something like that? Whatever. Anyway, we made that brief little eye contact, recognizing each other's presence, and I just kept walking, But it was cool, to see Gerard Depardieu in the flesh. I mean, I've seen a lot of actors in the flesh, like Gregory Hines. I actually met Gregory Hines a long time ago down by the Wall Street area. Let's see, Michael Douglas, met him. Let's see here. I met the real characters. Like, if you ever saw the movie Searching for Bobby Fischer, Lawrence Fishburne plays a character, but I knew, and a lot of my friends, well, we were all friends, like a circle of friends, knew the character that he played in that movie very, very well. He was a very good friend of ours, and Lawrence Fishburne played him. I didn't meet Lawrence Fishburne because I was working actually just a few blocks away at the time they were filming. But all the park, because it was, a Washington Square chess park, all the park players and everything like that got to meet him. I don't know. That was pretty cool to see the movie. The movie was made about a young chess player who I actually babysat a few times, and apparently his name was Josh Waitzkin, and his father knew his father. None of us knew he was writing the script or anything like that when he was bringing his kid out. But, he'd bring his kid out and he'd play against this guy named Vincent Livermore. I actually have a picture that I took of Vincent Livermore in 1989. He's since passed, and he passed in 1992, February of 92. I'm pretty sure. But, yeah, that was quite interesting. Arun Soat, I don't think it's gonna rain anymore. Hope not, But we have a jacket on. We're doing all right. Let's see here. Trying to think of something here. Oh, yeah, I was thinking about this yesterday. I don't know if you guys even speak English or understand what I'm saying, but that's all right. If you just check out the view and everything like that. But yesterday I'd been thinking about Bob Marley, and I made a short video about that. Why isn't Bob Marley been made a saint? Because he was a Christian, performed miracles, and was a good, virtuous person. And a person who, did not think about money, the way most capitalistic people think about it and stuff like that. So I was like, why isn't Bob Marley made a saint? Anyway, but then I started thinking about other things because we talked about that quite extensively about calling up the diocese in North New Jersey and finding out how the whole beatification and canonization goes and stuff like that. Anyway, what I didn't talk about that day, which I'm going to mention now, is has anybody out there seen the movie The Harder They Come with Jimmy Cliff? Now, that's a movie. I'm gonna say probably less than 1% of Americans or Europeans or even Asians, of course, as 1% of the world has seen. The Harder They Come, fantastic movie. It's like semi-biographical, but it's a fantastic movie, and it's a movie which kind of stands the test of time. And inside that movie, there are numerous characters who you might know about, like Toots and the Maytals and stuff like that. Singing in the studio and stuff like that. Oh my God, Toots and the Maytals, what voices, But anyway, The Harder They Come with Jimmy Cliff, and yeah, man, definitely check that out. Check that movie out if you haven't, because you will be surprised how good it is. And one of the things we have to worry about after it rains is that there are mud. Like, we don't have to worry about slipping on ice or slush or anything like that, but there is mud, and it can be real slippery, and you can get a nasty little fall. So always watching out for that. And then another thing I saw, here's a thing I saw yesterday. I thought this was absolutely fascinating. Have any of you guys heard of acquired savant syndrome? I've heard about it numerous times, but it pops up every now and then. Acquired savant syndrome, and what that is like, say you were driving a car and you bumped your head, went into a coma, and then you wake up, all of a sudden you can speak fluently a language that you didn't know you could. Or you get hit in the head with a baseball like one guy did, and you can recite every day, like number of the day and what the weather was of each number of the day and year and stuff like that. I mean, so it's called acquired savant syndrome. So it's basically what it is people of, average, normal intelligence experience a traumatic event. And after that, they can become mathematicians, virtuoso pianists, artists. One fella, he's very famous for having, I don't know if he has acquired savant syndrome though, but anyway, he can look at a cityscape and then he'll draw it like down to like the minutest detail. So anyway, I was thinking about this one guy that I just happened to watch had acquired savant syndrome, and what he was a futon salesman, and he was just like a partier and just like to party, hang out in the 90s and go to the bars and stuff like that. And one day he was in the bar and he walked out, and two guys came up to him, and one of them smashed him in the back of the head to rob him, right? So he remembers that he got all dizzy and dazed and confused, ended up in the hospital for a few days, and then he went through this period, went back to his house, and he's like knowing that something in him changed. And So he does things. He goes through this process where he starts hiding out in his own apartment. He like closes all the windows and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, he sees a circle. And when he sees a circle, he starts to look at it like he never looked at it before. And so he gets out a piece of paper and he starts drawing circles within circles and stuff like that. And what that ended up being is basically a representation of some mathematical formulas, which he didn't have any idea that he was actually doing. Anyway, he had gotten into a state of depression and stuff like that, so he decided to re-enroll in school. I think like a I want to say like those 2 years college or something like that. Anyway, he was taking a math class, and when he got to the math class, he saw that the professor had put up some circles, and he immediately said to the "That's what I've been drawing. I can't stop." And then the professor explained to him, "Well, these are the circles and spheres and stuff like that represent, like, angles and blah 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 and stuff like that. Stuff that's like way, very interesting, and especially more interesting to somebody who understands mathematics better than I, that's for sure." But so he discovers at that moment that he has this ability to do math, and then all of a sudden he starts seeing everything in math. Like everything that he sees is some sort of a mathematical equation or something like that or whatever. And so from that incident, getting unfortunately like mugged outside of a bar and having like a little bit of a traumatic experience, he says it was the best thing that ever happened to him, because he learned, it just was like a gift from God, to become a mathematician, and not like a run-of-the-mill mathematician, but like, an advanced mathematician. And then he met his wife in that college, and they had kids and everything like that. So that whole night changed his life, and I thought that was a very interesting story. So I was thinking about acquired savant syndrome, right? And so there's another thing. So there are some things that are tied into that, where somebody receives like a traumatic brain injury and they get savant syndrome. But like I was wondering about like Elon Musk, with that Neuralink thing and stuff like, which I thought has to have some sort of a relationship to the same kind of thing, and it does have a relationship. But here's the thing. Here's what I learned about the Neuralink of Elon Musk, is that he didn't invent that. That's not his invention. He's just a proponent of it. So, it's sort of like Mars thing. He didn't invent the idea to go to Mars or anything like that. And he just wanted to go to Mars, right? And he didn't invent the electric car. The first cars were electric, and they came along with the fuel powered cars, and they actually had a race like back in like the early 1900s, to see which car was a better performer, which one would win a race. And the electric car over 100 years ago won the race, but so we can go down that rabbit hole, where the whole reason why there weren't electric cars before this was because of the oil barons. They had all this oil all of a sudden, right? Before cars came around, they were like, people who had like oil on their land and stuff like that. This was like a tremendous nuisance, a waste of farmland, cattle land, and stuff like that. It's like, they didn't know what to do with it. And then you had, savvy businessmen like Rockefeller, Morgan, who rigged the markets illegally very corrupt people, and managed to make, you know, billions of dollars in today's money. But the way they did it was they got the electric. They supported the gasoline, the oil run car, right? And so what they did was they went in and they got lobbyists and affected the outcome through the White House, through the president and the presidents and stuff like that. And that is why we didn't have electric cars as the norm over 100 years ago. But Elon Musk didn't invent the electric car by any means. I mean, he did a fantastic job. I mean, his team and everything like that did a fantastic job, for which he was tremendously overpaid, in my opinion. But, things like his boring, the borehole, whatever, these are all things that, ideas that he didn't come up with these ideas. He didn't invent these ideas. That was Jules Verne, So that's the thing about Elon Musk is, while he's now like the richest man in the world. Oh, prewa fontok. Ako lang fontok, but I. So so he didn't. Elon Musk didn't invent all these things, but he was a proponent of it, right? So basically, he is and I hate to say it. I mean, why do I hate to say it? But anyway, before Donald Trump and Elon Musk became buddies on the Doge team and stuff like that, Trump would say that Elon Musk was a fraud. And then whatever, something happened. Musk decided to donate, a lot of money to the Trump campaign and stuff like that. And then they became buddies and the Doge, blah, you know the rest of the story there. But the reason why he was calling him a fraud is because Elon Musk and my best friend, says the same thing. He said this before I heard Trump say it. Elon Musk is like P.T. Barnum. P.T. Barnum was a famous businessman in the 19th century, and he, was famous for his circus and freak shows and stuff like that. But, basically he was a promoter and a businessman, and that's exactly what Elon Musk is. He doesn't write the code for all this stuff or anything like that. He didn't invent the electric car. He didn't do any of these things. All he did, and it's not all he did, because what he did it to perfection, nearly, I guess, to a very high level, and was able to raise a lot of money, and that made him the richest man in the world at the present time. Supposedly, maybe, I don't know, maybe there's a couple of guys who are a lot more wealthy than him, and I guess, and that's all how comes back to Bob Marley is, how do you measure your wealth? Anyway, and that's, in the financial terms, Elon Musk is supposedly ranked number one, but how do you compare his wealth to, say, Putin? Putin, is like basically, I mean, how can he be richer than Putin? I don't think so. Saudi kings and princes, I think they probably have more money than Musk or whatever. But I'm not just slamming on Musk. I'm not throwing shade on him. I'm just saying that I thought that was interesting. So that started with the Neuralink thing, right? So he's doing the Neuralink. A lot of people are uninformed, and they think that, oh, Musk invented the Neuralink. They've been doing this with a number of institutions within the United States and Europe and Asia for 20 years now. Like that whole thing about controlling a mouse with your neural receptors in your brain and stuff like that. That was not invented by Musk. That wasn't invented by Musk at all. In fact, they've had patients who have been able to control robotic arms and mouse movements on computers for 20 years or something like that. So that's, called, what is that called? It's called brain-computer interfaces, right? Brain-computer interfaces. And which I just reiterate, Musk did not invent. And they have all sorts of stuff going on. But then I was thinking about another thing about this acquired savant syndrome. And that is, and I had to look this up. I looked this up yesterday. I wanted to know if there were any sports figures who got acquired savant syndrome. Like any football players, boxers, MMA, or anything like that. Because those guys get hit in the head all the time. So, I shouldn't laugh, because it isn't funny, but it is kind of funny. To the record of all the AI research that I if you want to call it research, you want to call it looking up, that I did, no athlete who has been in combat sports or a sport where they receive traumatic brain injuries or a CTE or anything like that has ever become an acquired savant. So, and the explanation for that was, which makes sense, is that people who get acquired savant syndrome is always because of one traumatic experience. So you have boxers, they get hit in the head all the time, and football players, hand and football players, I guess what you call in the United States, NFL, they get CTE, they get hit in the head all. So they said, actually, not only do they not acquire savant syndrome, but they actually lose IQ points because of being hit in the head so much, which is like a really kind of like ironic paradox, And I thought that was kind of interesting. But there's also something even more interesting than that. And what they're doing is, there are some science organizations, I don't know what you call them exactly, but like the medical science teams and hospitals that are trying to induce the acquired savant syndrome, and they do it by, and they can do it. Now, and what they do is they do it by putting some sort of a magnet, like some sort of an electromagnet, which disrupts the left side of the brain. So it's like normally like the right side of the brain that has all these unlocked potentials and stuff like that. So, most of your functions and your thoughts and stuff like that come from the left hemisphere. So, but for the right hemisphere, some people are just born with the ability to access this advanced software. Some people have to get hit over the head to get this advanced software. But now they have medical institutions which are using science to induce the ability to access the software in your brain, that, the old saying, what they say, we just use 10% of our brain. Well, there's a lot of truth in that, So that was my thoughts. Those are my thoughts on acquired savant syndrome and superpowers and stuff like that. But it all ties into the other conversations that we were having, which was when what a lot of people are talking about. Arun Sawat, hello. How are you today? So that ties into a conversation that everybody's been having these days, and that is the simulation, right? Are we living in a simulation? You know, and out and so what? So that ties into the simulation thing, and so like from my thoughts, and my thoughts are definitely influenced by what I see, like on the podcast of Lex Friedman, Joe Rogan, and a variety of others, Diary of a CEO, and stuff like that, and others. Basically, what I take away from it, that is, if we are living in a simulation or something like that, there could be many different variations of the simulation. But one version of the simulation that I think about is that we all have a super user, right? So like we're character, or what do they call those, CGI or I don't know, the character in a video game or something like that. Anyway, we're all like characters in some sadistic and masochistic game that some higher intelligence has decided to play, or part of an experiment which they think is necessary, or something like that. And so I thought to myself, well, holy cow, if that's true, that means I could send a text or an email to my super user. Whoever's my super user is, playing this game, I got to tell this guy, he's got to play this game a little bit better. You know what I mean? Because people are just, they're lapping me. Their super users are using their characters to do a lot better than I'm doing. Arun Sawat. So that's just one version of simulation for me. And that's actually a very dystopian kind of version of the simulation, because if I really did believe that, then I'd be like, well, whatever shortcomings, it's the perfect excuse for total mediocrity. Like, it's the perfect excuse to say why I didn't do something, or why I can't do something, or I don't want to do something. So I'm not buying it. I'm not believing in that, because I believe we have the unlocked potential variation. All of us have that unlocked potential variation. And that's way more complicated than that everybody has a super user. I mean, but and it further ties into the ancient civilization theory and stuff like that. So, like, are we the first civilization? Obviously, probably not. Just from what we're learning through anthropology and archaeology and carbon dating and everything like that that's been going on, and new technologies and all that. It's pretty clear we're not the first advanced civilization. How advanced were they? We still don't know. But it even gets to like non-human advanced civilization. And when we say advanced civilization, we're talking about the ability to build like a house or a hut or something, something to live in, like a nest. I mean, I guess you could call birds advanced civilization. They make nests, or beavers. I guess it depends on how far you want to take it. Anyway, I'm having a fantastic day, and I hope you are too. And it did rain today, so that's nice. One of the things I want to do, And I put a video up about sort of this topic yesterday. So yesterday I went out after the live stream, right, to run an errand, not too far, whatever, walk. I don't know, maybe 300 feet. I went out, and on my way back, I should say on my way there, I saw this old lady on the side of the road, and she's selling okra and stuff like that, right? And obviously, I mean, like people, a lot of people here don't have any money, very little money, and they work hard for little money, And when I see a woman in her late 60s and 70s sitting on the ground, looking to sell vegetables, fruit and vegetables, or something like that, I want to buy. I want to buy all of it, or I don't even want to buy it. I'd love to, just to give her money, but I'm not going to give her money because she might feel disrespected or something like that. That might be a disrespectful act. So I obviously, definitely, if I have any money on me, I always want to buy, because first of all, it's fruit and vegetables. That's good stuff. But secondly, you're helping somebody, somebody out, and they're helping you out, and they're actually helping it. Like this old lady who was selling this okra and green beans, whatever they were. I don't know what the green beans were. They weren't green beans. They were round seed nuts, whatever. They looked like green beans. Anyway, she was helping me out a lot more than I was helping her out, I think, because I bought them, right? I had, all I had on me was 10 baht. So I had a 10 baht coin on me. And hold on a second. We just want to stop here to appreciate this view, which we get to every morning. And it's so beautiful and everything. So just want to appreciate that. You can see the greenness of the rice fields and the purity of nature and all that sort of stuff. You know what I mean? So you can't see the mountains in the background because it was raining, and it's going to be probably rain later today. But we are facing west, and then by facing west, if we kept walking west, we would run into, if we went straight as a crow, we would walk through part of Laos and then Vietnam. And if you kept walking, you'd find yourself in the Pacific Ocean. Anyway, that's west. And that's where we are on the map right now. And then, as I say, when we get to this point, we're going to look for the star of the show. And that's the east, right? Because the sun rises in the east and it's a star, right? So the star of the show hasn't been showing up lately. I guess she might want a pay raise. I don't know. Anyway, that is due east. And if you walk due east from here, you will hit the Golden Triangle and keep walking over that mountain range there. You'll walk through the Shan State, and through the Shan State, you get further down, you get into the country of Myanmar. And Myanmar is formerly called Burma. And then if you keep walking across Myanmar, you will find yourself in another ocean. I think the Andaman Ocean or the Indian Ocean. Yeah, so that's those are our geographics of the day. But anyway, so this lady, she's sitting on the side of the road, and she has these things for sale. And all I had on the way back, because I had to buy something for somebody, all I had on it was 10 baht, a 10 baht coin. So I just said to the lady in Thai that I wanted to buy 10 bahts worth of vegetables. And she was like asking me which ones, and I said, oh, well, whatever 10 bahts is, right? So she like points to like one pile, and she says, oh, that's 5 baht. And then she's like, Arun suwa yai, sabadi lupao. So, and then she points to another pile, so that's 5 baht. And so I just reiterate, I said, I want 10 baht. Anyway, she fills up this bag with 2 piles of okra and this green bean. It looks like a green pea, right? And then I'm feeling the weight of it, and it's got to be nearly 3 pounds. I know it's over 2 pounds, And I'm just like thinking to myself, holy Toledo. You know, like I was back in the United States a few years ago for a short period of time. I had to do some things, and I went to a supermarket, and I went to the buffet in the supermarket, and you could buy salad, you could buy rice, you could buy cooked fish, chicken, whatever, you know. It didn't matter what it was. And they sold it there for $18 a pound, okay? They were selling things for $18 a pound. So this bag of okra and green peas like bean in it weighed, let's just say for argument's sake, 2.2 pounds. That's a kilo, right? So let's say it weighed a kilo, right? 2.2 pounds. And just round it down to 2 pounds. That means if I went and bought that in the United States at a supermarket, I'm going to have to pay $30 for the okra and these green bean like things, right? But I just bought them for 10 baht, and 10 baht comes to about 30 cents US. There is something very broken in the system if you think about the disparity of those prices. You know, I mean, I was like incredible. You know, I was like, it's absolutely incredible. You know, if I had gone to the supermarket, they would have charged me $36, but I'm buying it for 30 cents. Crazy, right? Anyway, it's a good thing we are down to the last 30%, 20%, 25% of our walk this morning. And I'll tell you what, the reason for that is I can feel raindrops. Raindrops keep falling on my head. I feel raindrops. And when you feel those raindrops, all of a sudden it can come down in the bucket loads. But we'll see how it goes. It's not too bad right now. It's just a little pitter patter of rain. And you know, God willing, we'll make it back without getting totally soaked. But yeah, man. There's this guy who comes on, you know, I like to consider him a friend actually, on here on YouTube. It was Scott74 from Canada. And, you know, he talks in the chat whenever he's here, whatever. I don't think he's here today. But he was talking about this movie, 21 Grams. And so this also ties into all the other topics we talk about on a regular basis. And what 21 grams is, for those of you who do not know, is that when a person becomes deceased, their body weight loses about 21 grams. And doctors at the time of this movie, the movie came out, did not have an explanation for this, right? So like, what is that, you know, when the person expires, that loss of 21 grams? Is it the spirit, the soul? Is it gas? Is it air? What is it? You know. Anyway, I have not followed up on what it is or whatever the research is these days or anything like that. And I had first heard about it about 21 years ago, about 20 years ago. So when Sean Penn, and I think I may have even seen the movie. You know, I'm pretty sure I have seen the movie, but I kind of forget. But I'm a fan of Sean Penn's acting. So anyway, so that 21 grams thing. Anyway, my friend, my best friend ever, said to me later, he said, "Oh, you know about 21 grams, right?" And I was like, "No, what?" I said, "No, what? Sean Penn was in the movie or something like that?" He says, "No. You know that saying that that we used to say down because we used to do basically street entertainment, like entertaining people in a public square down by the World Trade Center. And we did this for a number of years, and we had all sorts of routines and stuff. And one of his lines was, "Champagne for my friends and real pain for my sham friends." And he said, that's the quote from the movie 21 Grams. And I was like, well, I certainly never forget that quote. And I was like, oh, wow, that came from the movie 21 Grams. I don't remember the scene, or anything like that. I mean, I have a vague memory of, maybe it's a fake memory too, of a patient or somebody, becoming deceased in like a mortician's office or something, or a doctor's office. But anyway, yeah. So I didn't know that quote came from that movie. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. I thought it was from a totally different movie. Champagne for my real friends and real pain for my sham friends. Life like that, and to the point of revenge anymore, because we have become spiritual people and have a belief in spirituality and a higher being and a greater cause than anything that is ourselves. So we disillusion us, or what was it? One of my favorite words. Disabuse myself of hedonistic thoughts, thoughts of envy, thoughts of retribution, revenge, and all these kinds of things, and try to only let good thoughts, true thoughts, into the mind. And that's what that's like programming. That's like neuroplasticity. You could train yourself to have good thoughts. And that's very important. Train yourself to have bad thoughts. And if you don't think that people can be programmed and neuroplasticity isn't a thing, well, look at all you got to do is look around the world and look at some very extreme groups and what their children are programmed to do. To do some very, very unnatural things. So you can definitely program a human being, to do things. And the CIA tried it with that MK Ultra experiment that had a funny thing. That MK Ultra experiment that they had going, we don't know how successful it was, but what they did was they put college kids, into this facility and gave them a lot of LSD. And so that was about mind control. Like that, what they wanted to do was, and the people who went into this program they didn't know what they were getting into, right? They wanted to, so the CIA wanted to practice mind control, right? So they'd be able to control the minds of people in other places, and it definitely worked, I think, because I'll name three. I can name three infamous, I should say, people who were part of the MK Ultra. And the MK Ultra program probably is the reason why they were so screwed up. One was Charles Manson. He had a periphery affiliation with the doctors in charge of the MK Ultra program, and they would give him LSD. Another one is the Unabomber, right? He was a scientist, and I don't know, Harvard student or something like that, and he went into the MK Ultra plan. After he came out all crazy and everything like that. But was he really crazy? They're saying now, was he really crazy, or he might have been right, But obviously, we cannot condone the violent acts against people and stuff like that. As only in a last resort form of self-defense. But anyway, And I guess depending on whose interpretation of things, whatever. I mean, I don't know. That was him. He was MK Ultra. He was the Unabomber and the MK Ultra. But even more sickening, and the most sickening one that I know was in the MK Ultra program, was Whitey Bulger. Whitey Bulger was a mafia, an Irish mafia guy from Boston. I mean, he murdered like dozens of people, you know. I mean, he was a sadistic, psychopathic killer. But he was also working for the FBI or CIA. That was after he was in MK Ultra. So, like, they don't mention that he was in MK Ultra. Like I think Johnny Depp did a movie. I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know. But I'm wondering if they included the part where Whitey Bulger was in the MK Ultra program and was given a whole bunch of LSD, you know, so they could control his mind. Who knows? I don't know. All I know is that those are three coincidences that are too much of coincidences for me to think that they're not related. All right, now, I don't know if you can see it, but the rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain. And the rain is picking up now. I don't have any really, well, I mean, my phone has water protection built into it, but I don't really want to test it or anything like that. So, without further ado, I will say to every single one of you, thank you so much for me on this morning walk. You certainly gave me the motivation and determination to keep moving forward. So, God bless you and thank you very much. And you have a good morning, a good afternoon, and a good night.